Survey program has hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thanks so much for all your support, everybody. I really appreciate it. And remember, you can also listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and right on groupastrike.net. And on groupastrike.net, if you want some bonus non-Deltarune episodes where I talk with the panelists about one battle after another, Doctor Who, the 24 best movies I watched last year, furries at the opera, questionable content and other classic 2000s webcomics, the movie Money Plane, and next week, Growing Up Queer in the South. You can support the show for $5 a month and get access to that exclusive Green Room feed of 7 episodes and growing. It'll be 8 next week. Always appreciate the support. Helps cover the hosting costs, not just for this show, but for our guest today's show. It's awesome to have so many discussions going on in the Discord as well. You can join the Discord at the link in the description. That's totally taken a life of its own since Chapter 5 came out. This episode contains Chapter 5 spoilers and talk about dads. So it's the dads episode. It's a follow-up to our episode 3 on moms. Music, as almost always, is by show musician Highwell. The new remix of Lost Girl, that's the theme for this season, is out on YouTube. You can check the link in the description. Be sure to support and subscribe to Highwell there. Let's get started.
How's it going?
It's good. I'm sorry about the time zone mistake. That's
it's all
me.
right. Yeah, it's fine. I got home from getting groceries just in time for this misunderstanding to resolve well.
That's great. I just walked around with I just walked around and grabbed some tea. I'm really annoyed because there was a yurt, like a cat yurt on the sidewalk on the way to go get tea at the tea shop, and I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to get that yurt when we get back. And then by the time we walk back, like not 15 minutes later, the yurt was gone, and now Ezra doesn't get a yurt.
No, poor Ezra. He deserves a yurt.
I think he does too.
Oh, poor Ezra not getting a yurt. I should maybe get a yurt for Sawdust. He would ignore it, though.
Yeah, I don't know that Ezra would actually use a yurt is the problem. You know, I don't know if he's a step warrior type of cat, really. It just doesn't maybe seem like his speed.
Serena would have something to say about Final Fantasy XIV step warrior cats.
I'm sure. I'm certain of that. And I understand what you're saying now just as much as I would understand whatever that is. All right. Deltarune. So Deltarune is a video game that came out.
Webster's dictionary defines Deltarune.
Deltarune, in summary, Deltarune is a land of contrasts. Thanks for listening to Survey Program Podcast. That's the end. Deltarune. So no, you've been on the show a number of times, but this is actually the sequel to a specific episode that we did. This is a sequel. We're going all the way back to episode 3 of the show, where you and I talked for the first time on this program about the moms of Deltarune. We talked about Carol and Toriel, and I think that you know, obviously I had to make my first character focused episode about the Milves. That's just what it is on this program. But we just got the dad chapter, and so that's what we're going to be. It's a chapter all about dads. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I was qualified for the Milves episode because I'm kind of a childless MILF myself, and I'm qualified for the dads episode because I have a shitty dad myself. So.
But before we get into the topic, I wanted to ask, you know, when I have a panelist back for the first time since Chapter 5 came out, I like to ask, like, how'd you find Chapter 5 overall?
I absolutely loved Chapter 5. I do think that it's my favorite chapter so far.
Awesome.
Chapter 3 could have beat it out if Chapter 3's replayability weren't such a slog for me. But Chapter 5 is so compelling. It's got so much Rouxls development, which I have been craving. It's that Weird Route is the biggest emotional punch maybe a video game has ever given me, and it's followed closely by the "Thank you for watching my dream" sequence,
So good.
which shattered me.
Yeah. It's yeah,
And,
and I feel like that's one of those that's another one of those things where you really get your paratextual knowledge of Deltarune rewarded by that scene.
yes, yes, the connections to Undertale, just even just vibes wise, are just so fucking visceral.
Yeah. It's yeah, I agree with you that I think it might I think it's either 5 or 4 my favorite. And the thing is that it's like I mean, it's hard. I was gonna be like, it's hard for a chapter to top like giving my number one Undertale Glup Shido like Susie mentor status with with Gerson coming back. That was
Yes.
fucking awesome. And Hammer of Justice is my favorite song on the soundtrack so far. I think maybe, but I have to admit, you can beat that by bringing back the obvious trans woman genderist character as the secret boss. Congrats.
God.
Like
Yeah, I still haven't actually fought Pink. I haven't picked the game up since I cleared Weird Route. But I love everything I know about Pink's presence. I loved the shop. I loved identifying her as Maddie, like from just her dialogue.
yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, it's awesome. I just, obviously one of my favorite things about, and I never played Undertale on the Switch, so I actually never, obviously I watched the video, but I never actually played the Mad Mew Mew fight myself. And so, I don't know. It's really great and it's awesome. I know we've already talked about, we already did basically a whole episode that was hugely about Pink, but I still am just like, it's the first character that you fight twice. It's the first character that you fight in both games. And I think that's really important, especially since everybody thought it would be Asgore instead this chapter.
Oh, that's true, isn't it? Toby kind of did a little, he did a little tricky Tony on us.
Yeah. And I know some people were maybe disappointed in that, but it's like the flower, like the prophecy panel showing what the next boss would be had the golden flower in it as well. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your first okay, I need you to walk me through this because this is always the thing that I ask. When you walk to the right and the fucking anime cutscene started, what was your reaction?
I'm pretty sure I shouted what? And then as soon as Flowery's dialogue after the anime scene was over, I immediately went to post Flowery is the worst character in Deltarune.
Yes. I was like, this is the shittiest guy Toby's ever made. That's what I posted on Mastodon.
I love him.
And now I love him. Right, and now I love him. But I hated him so much right away. And I like the first few seconds that the cutscene was playing, I genuinely like my brain couldn't process what was happening. Like I thought something was going wrong.
It's so out of left field. I can't imagine like they have to put another thing like this in after chapter 3 and 5, right? There has to be another big weird change in FMV style or something just at the start of one of the last 2 chapters.
You can't do,
and I can't imagine what it's going to be.
Right, you can't do these big format screws just in the middle. There's got to be more of it across the game. Like I can't wait for the. I'm hoping we get some behind the scenes insight into this in the first post chapter newsletter. I would love to hear a little bit more about just the whole process behind getting Studio Kara to do animation for the game. It's just awesome. It's crazy. So I love chapter 5, and chapter 5 was very centered around Asgore. And it's time, we talked about Toriel, we talked about Carol. It's time to, and the other moms of Deltarune, including like Queen. And I think it's time to flip the script and talk about the other side of the family spectrum with our survey program family correspondent, Sophia Goodnight.
Oh no, I'm the family correspondent. It's true. After 6 or 7, I'll have to be on for siblings.
I'm moving my hands up and down because you said 6, 7.
God, Okay. Yeah, dads. Yeah, they fuck you up, your mom and dad. They
It's true. Sorry, I was wondering if you were going to say more. I was like, nope.
No, I froze up wondering if I should recite the whole poem or not.
I knew what you were referencing. If you don't, in the audience, you can read it. Um, yes, it's true, and I think especially, I think Deltarune takes a fairly dim view of. We talked about this in our previous episode, but I think Deltarune takes an especially dim view of the like heteronormative nuclear family, and like a lot of the quiet horror of the light world, the more mundane aspects of this story are just about how neither of our core, straight nuclear families are working at all.
Yeah. There is one like truly good parent among the four core parents, and he is dying.
He's dying. He's fucking cooked, dog. And like, although I will say, it's kind of funny because I think the progression of this game this is a bit of a digression, but I think the progression of this game has consistently ended up to where the light world plots are actually way more underwhelming than you would think. And part of me is almost like, what if that continues and Rudy's just like, oh, I just fell over and I'm fine. That would
what if well, maybe he just broke his arm and he's not actually going to die.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. But either way, it's true that like the one unequivocally good parent that we see has been completely sidelined by his illness, right? And is, not able to be, it's just the last twist of the knife in this dynamic. And I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say about Rudy here, so I'll put a pin in that for now. But in general, you have a core theory, and I really appreciated your thought here, because when I was kicking around my own ideas about what I wanted to say, my first thing that I thought was like, dads in Deltarune are generally either dead or gone, or like, like they're either dead or distant. And I think you brought sort of the same point to the table, right? So what are dads about in Deltarune?
Dads in Deltarune are kind of defined by absence.
And I like that too, because it feels often that moms are the opposite, like they're defined by this almost suffocating presence.
Yes, exactly. And like Carol is almost a denial of that because she is absent but still omnipresent. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't matter. But dads are all gone in some way. Like Asgore, one of the main thrusts of chapter 5 is just how he has completely abandoned his family because of his obsession with the Dark Fountains. Other than these aggressive, incredibly divorced overtures to stick around with his family.
Yeah.
That he is clearly never delivering on.
Yeah. He thinks that basically like that one next grand gesture is going to be the thing that's going to deliver him back to the perfect utopian family dynamic.
Yeah, and he keeps trying these gestures, he keeps getting them rejected, and there's definitely a vibe that it's because I don't know if this is textually supported, but I got the vibe that part of the reason that like Kris isn't really going over there anymore and is that he doesn't follow through. He gets distracted and goes back on his quest.
Yeah. And not only that, but he uses Kris as a go-between,
Yep.
Like if you go over to him and, earlier in the game, like he'll give you flowers to give to Toriel, right? Like he's sort of weaponizing Kris as like an instrument of trying to get them back together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's very interesting because it's a pretty big contrast to how he acted. I mean, his estrangement from Toriel in Undertale is pretty total, right? As far as I remember, he's not really trying to get back with Toriel. He's so devoted to his plan that, he's been totally isolated from her. And I guess it's also been an astronomically longer period of time in Undertale as well.
Yeah, and when she does show up at the very end of Pacifist, he does kind of like get excited and think that it's time for reconciliation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. And does get, sort of shot down about that. I think we actually talked about this last time in the Moms episode, but it's like, of course, there's a big contrast, I think, to what he's done and what he's like between Undertale and Deltarune, because while he's literally quite worse in Undertale, because he murdered 6 children. He like, most of us don't know somebody who murdered 6 children. Like, most of us don't know that person, right? Most of us have not had someone who's killed 6 children in our life. Hopefully, listener, if you do, I'm sorry. Don't tell me about it, please.
Yes, please leave that out of the server and out of our mentions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have the credentials to deal with that. If somebody listening does actually know somebody who killed 6 children, they're gonna think I'm being a huge jackass. I'm sorry. I'll cop to that. I'm not equipped to deal with that situation. But like, that's obviously literally worse than what he's done in Deltarune, right? It's on a moral power scaling basis, it's worse. And yet, we find him more sympathetic in Undertale because it's a fantasy setting, right? It's a fantasy scenario where life and death are the stakes, right? It's the aftermath of a big magic war. And so, when our brain's in that space, we make our moral relativism is affected too, right? It's in that world, it's kill or be killed in a lot of ways. And although Asgore's plan was flawed and wrong, and in the end quite cowardly, it's still like, by the stakes of the setting, it's still not something that like pings to us as flagrantly immoral or even particularly disquieting. Whereas being a shitty absent dad that like doesn't respect like his ex-wife's wishes, we all can conceptualize that.
Yep. We have all had or known someone who has had a shitty dad who is at least something like that. It's an extremely common type of person, is a dad who either is completely absent from his family unless it suits him, or that's inclusive, or it has a really weird obsession that keeps him from being someone that you want to talk to.
Yeah. He's just like he's kind of a weird hanger-on, after the incident. He's just like, he's kind of like he's springing out of the bushes. He's intruding on scenes he's not supposed to be in. He feels extraneous to hometown now in a way that feels very real.
Yeah, it's extremely real. He is an invasive, absent presence. When I was first writing up my notes, I wrote down Asgore is full of contradictions.
Yeah.
And that complete absence, that inability to deliver on his overtures is like reflected in his treatment of the flowers, with all 6 of the flowers trying to say, "Hey, I'm good. Can you tell me I'm good?" And he just walks away.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when they weren't able to express themselves, right? When they weren't full people, Asgore was incredibly attentive to the flowers, right? He's kept these flowers alive for, like 20 years or so, right? Like he was extremely, he talked to them all the time, right? When they weren't able to talk back or express opinions or desires or wants of their own, he was a good father to them, right? But as soon as they developed their own, as soon as they became people, right, he neglects them.
And it makes you wonder if he did that to Kris, if when Kris like started expressing autonomy, if he like started drifting away from Kris.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me, especially now that it's become clearer than it was when we last spoke, that Asgore and Kris are not in cahoots in any way. That's become incredibly clear that there's not a well-reasoned conspiracy that Asgore is actually a party to, right? That whatever relationship Kris has with Carol, whatever the situation is between them, Asgore is not aware of it. And Asgore is not part of either that plan or part of the Knight's plan, if you assume those are two different things, which I do, but we'll do an episode about Des and all that shit soon. But like, it's, that's one of those things too, is that like Asgore got even more pathetic this chapter with the realization that like what he's doing for Carol is not being part of a well understood plan. He's just groping around in the dark and basically accidentally, or through the fulfillment of Kris's plan here, ends up in the dark world again. And he really had no idea how to find out anything more about it on his own.
Yeah, and the line that made it like so exceedingly clear that Kris and Asgore have no connection in the webs of conspiracies is Asgore saying that he would parade the body of the person opening the fountains around town.
Yeah.
While Kris could hear.
Yep.
Can you fucking imagine if you overheard your father even accidentally saying that he was going to parade your body around town?
Yes.
To prove that he's been right all along.
Yes, exactly. And that was such a moment of pathos. And it's like, you have to really feel for Kris in this whole situation, because it's like they have been distant from their father, and clearly whatever plan they are engaged in is serious enough to them and has high enough stakes that they are willing to have their own father kidnapped for it, right? And so in a lot of ways, like they I don't know, in a lot of ways, like they probably should feel a little bad about whatever the hell they're doing. Like it's it's bad. They're lying to everybody. It's very serious. But like this, and the stakes are even higher. Prior to this, it was like, okay, so a cop got kidnapped. Who cares? Rolling my eyes. Yeah. Who cares? But like, the fact that they're willing to imperil their own family for this plan is very serious.
Yes, Kris. Imagine that your father says that he's going to parade your body around town in front of you, but it's in the middle of you having set it up so that he's being kidnapped by the devil, and later, before he actually gets kidnapped by the devil, he apologizes for being such a shit.
And says he's proud of you. That's how you know, by the way, that this is a work of fiction, because it features your father apologizing to you for all the things he did. That's the least believable. My suspension of disbelief was totally wrecked by that. Come on, Tony.
Wish fulfillment.
It's
wish
true.
fulfillment. It's
That's
fine.
how you know the dark worlds represent escapism and wish fulfillment. But yeah, no, it's a horrible piece of pathos that something genuinely appears to have been healed between them, while the die of fate has already been cast, right? And while this plot that Kris is an active participant in, either through their own desires, through blackmail, or a combination of the two, I tend to lean further on the side of Kris having agency, because I think it's a more interesting read of their character, right? And, certainly they're torn between multiple options, as we saw at the end of Chapter 4, right? A direct metaphor of them being torn between Susie and the Knight. Or the caller. I'm not going to do phone. I'm not going to talk about who was phone on this show. It's not worth it. But
what if Asgore was the caller?
I will fucking kill you.
Maybe it was Alphys.
Yeah. But in the end, I didn't even perceive what you just said, okay? It was so stupid that I couldn't even, it just went right, I didn't even hear it, okay? But either way, the end of this is not a reconciliation, a healing, a closeness. It's Asgore being more distant than ever before. He's been carried away to the shelter.
Yep. Kris sent away their own father now.
Yes, exactly. And so a father defined by, misunderstanding and estrangement is now absent completely. And I think that gives us a chance to talk about the other, like, absent father, the other ways that fathers are absent, right? And so bring me another dad. Chop, chop, bring me another.
Like the other, like, major dad is Rudy, who we're told we're told he's been very present up until his illness kicked in. Yeah, he was deeply involved in Noelle's life, and they played video games together. They were so close. But ever since he's been sick, he's been in the hospital. He's been forced to be absent.
Yeah. He's
And
been like much like, you know, fate has taken Asgore away, fate has taken Rudy away. And I was asking in the server the other day. Actually, let's put a pin in this. Let's put this discussion. Let's put a pin in this until we actually get to the full Rudy section. And let's talk about some of the lesser dads. I mean, not Rouxls.
Yes.
Although Rouxls is a lesser dad, but let's talk about some of the other lesser dads in the story.
Yeah, the lesser dads, like the most important lesser dad is Gerson.
Yep.
Who when Alvin took over the church, Gerson wouldn't go to Alvin's sermons because he thought that would make Alvin follow his own path more. He thought that the correct way to support his son was by stepping away, by becoming absent, which is a common dad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He felt, you know, and I know that's... And Gerson is, you know, like Rudy, very clearly signposted as a good person, right? Like, you know, I think we are expected to care about and like Gerson, but Alvin's feelings are more complicated. I mean, he admires his father so much that he was unable to step out of his shadow, right?
Yes. And I think the fact that Gerson apologizes even after he dies is part of why we're supposed to think Gerson is a good person.
Yes.
It's too late, but suddenly it's not too late, but he regrets how he behaved.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, you know, because not everybody is motivated in the same way. And Gerson, through both Undertale and Deltarune, you know, is a lowercase d, you know, determined individual, right? You know, he blazes his own trail. He's an inspiration to others, right? He's stubborn, and his son is not the same, right? You know, Alvin is meeker and not motivated in the same way. And you know, he just sort of failed to recognize that, right? He failed to recognize that his child was not like him until later on. Until too late, until he died.
It kind of makes you wonder if Gerson's dad was trying too hard to make him step into a certain role.
Yeah.
Turtle hands on misery to turtle. It deepens like a coastal shelf.
And of course, chapter 1, you know, chapter 1 also has a dad as the final boss too.
Yes. Yeah, King is Lancer's dad. He is like he is the dad to Queen's mom. It's been speculated that he represents Kris's feelings on their dad or Susie's feelings on her dad, etc. But he is also deeply absent. He has like one scene with Lancer, I think, and it's explicit that he's always handing Lancer off to Rouxls. And do King and Lancer even have any interactions after chapter 1?
I can't think of any. Sound off in the comments if there's one. I literally can't recall, because King is in the basement the whole time, and I don't think Lancer shows up in there at any point.
And at least a couple times, King like asks after Lancer and is like, "Is Lancer happy?" And just like, it seems like he doesn't even want to be present now that he can't be present. Like it creates a contrast with Rudy, who does want to be present still.
Yeah.
And even with Asgore, who sort of wants to be present.
Yeah, he wants to be vindicated, you know. I mean, which, to be clear, also King does, you know. King thinks, oh, the night will kick your ass, the night will destroy you, or, you know, the one day I'll be free and I'll rule again. You know, that's another parallel between King and Asgore, right? They want to be correct in the end. They're fine with being, like, you know, they're going to persist in their isolation. Yeah,
and King never retreats from that, unlike Asgore.
Yeah. It's like Tenna's kind of a Asgore parallel as well, right? You know, Tenna is trying to say, wouldn't things be great if they were like they were before? You know, if we were all a family again. You know, without any awareness of what's actually happening or what actually needs to happen to heal the divide. He's just like, what if we all just got back together like it used to be? You know, what if we all watched the cowboy show again?
And he makes all those aggressive overtures to try to make it happen instead of like, you know, normal, like, hey, do you want to come over for dinner? He's like, oh, I was hiding in the bushes. Do you want to go to the diner?
Yeah.
And Tenna does those same things. He's like, okay, you have to love TV. You have to love me. You have to love me.
You have to, yeah.
I'm the TV, gotta love me.
And of course we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the best dad in Hometown.
The only actually good dad who is still in his children's life is Dad Cat.
Yeah,
he's excessively present.
Yeah,
which Caddy loves, though Caddy doesn't.
Now, remember, the house style, this actually hasn't been relevant before. I like to say Caddy with a Y and Caddy with an I every single time. Or Cat Y and Cat I for short.
Cat Y loves her family, loves how present her dad is, how much support both her parents give her. And Cat I does not.
Yeah. It's
and he's so present.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's another thing with, like, Gerson, where it's like, just trying to do the right thing doesn't always work for every kind of kid, right? It is kind of funny. He really respects his daughters and supports and loves them. He's like, we are crunching bones, we are feminists. But is also like, he's sort of like he's got like a David Copperfield, like, LOL, the ladies, am I right? Like, kind of vibe going on. And look, I just gotta just because I had to put this line in, I'm like, not a romantic like your brother Douglas, eh, Sploinky? Just go as friends. It's what I do with my wife.
and yeah, it's a fun little contradiction. But also that does emphasize he does carry through the absent father theme because his mind is absent.
Yeah, it's true.
He thinks that Asriel's name is Douglas. He is kind of confused about the world he lives in.
Yeah.
So even he has that splash of it, even though he's like a fully present dad.
Yeah. You're a Twin Peaks head, right?
Yeah. I just finished The Return a few weeks ago.
That's great. You think he's like a little, like, Twin Peaks Mike, isn't he? Where he's got the, he's got a missing arm and he's kind of like a doddering, harmless old man. I don't know what to make of. I have no idea what to make of him.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh, that's very, very interesting.
I wouldn't, the whole Cattenheimer family has this aura of like they should be really important and they're not. And also because of the symbolism of cats in this game and the chapter 5 patch, which we actually haven't talked about on here yet, but like the chapter 5 patch being like, hey, remember cats are important and evil and scary in this game. Or like I don't know what to make of that, like because Caddy with an I also seems like she used to be really important to Kris and Noelle and isn't. And this is a total aside from the topic, but it's just like, I don't know. The theming around them is just so weird, isn't it?
I think you might have to do a Cats episode, a Cattenheimer episode.
Yeah. I
because there's a lot to say there.
I have been long fascinated by Caddy with an I, and she's one of my favorite minor characters, and I keep rooting for her to be more involved in the story than I am. That's my Blorbo that I keep being like, but why not? Even as I judge everybody else who's like, why isn't the story about my Glupshido? Why isn't the story about Birdly?
And I think the story might partly be about Caddy with an I, because she was involved in that demon summoning that may or may not have some connection to the soul.
Yeah. And so, I guess put a pin on the Cattenheimer family because they intrigue me. And Cat Dad, not a romantic like your brother Douglas, a Sploinky, is such a great, I think that's my single favorite line from chapter 5. And I just like, I literally, it's become a vocal stem for me. Like, I'll just like wander into the room and like just say that to Valerie.
No, it so violently summons Mr. Dink's voice into my brain. Like, I hear that so clearly in Mr. Dink's voice. But what the fuck is Sploinky?
This is just what he calls Kris, isn't it?
Yeah, but what is that?
It's just he only says it in that line. I guess he's just calling Kris Sploinky. I don't know. It's a little It's like a little old. It's a little old Tumblr speak, I guess. I don't know. It's just something somebody. It's like just what you'd call a dog or something. I call Ezra sploinky sometimes now because of it. Ezra's my cat.
um, it is kind of old Tumblr speak, isn't it?
Well, that's Toby's carrying the flame of 2015 Tumblr into the modern world, and I really appreciate that about him.
He very much is. Should we move back to Rudy?
Yes. Let's talk about Mr. Rudolph Holiday. Yeah. And you made a really good point here that Rudy actually shares something in common with, out of all of the dads, with Rouxls.
Yeah, Rudy is like really feminized.
Yes.
Like he is in the traditional feminine role as a parent. Like the clearest thing for that is that he is the parent who mediates between the children and the more aggressive parent. Like usually that's the father is the asshole and the mother is like, okay, we're going to find the path between these. But that is explicitly Rudy's role in this family.
Yeah. And I mean, that also speaks to like the difference in power between them, right? Like Carol wears the pants in the relationship, although she literally wears a skirt, I believe. Am I correct about that? No, she does wear pants. She does wear the pants in the relationship.
Does she?
Yeah. Yes, she does wear pants. Yeah, Carol, is the powerful one in the relationship. Like, she's the mayor. She's the most powerful person in hometown. She's the most powerful person we see in the light world. The whole town runs at her beck and call. And Rudy is basically the first lady. He's, like Rudy is the accessory to the politician. And we never get any inkling whatsoever as to what Rudy's job is or was.
Yeah, our best guess based on a conversation in the server is that he was like a stay-at-home dad or a house husband, which is like the most involved that a dad can be in their children's lives.
Yep.
But we really don't know what he did other than be a very good father to Noelle.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, Noelle needs that. Like that was, but yeah, it's true. Like he's primarily defined in terms of his relationship to his children, which again is a traditionally like feminized role in a story, right?
Yes.
And that's not the only way that he's, that he picks up those signals.
Yeah. I do want to step back real quick. I would like to put a call out for fan art of Rudy dressed as Jackie O. I think that would be great.
Our beautiful, classy first lady. 100% pure class, our first lady.
But yeah, Rudy's also being put on that dead Disney mother shit by being like sickly and dying, and
yeah, it's true. He's a living, walking dead wife flashback. Like he's definitely like he's. It's a way to mark his absence, but it's also like, I don't know, he's there while he's absent, right? It's like he's even as you're interacting with him, you can feel him on the way out of this story. But he wasn't always like that, as you said. He was a caring presence in his daughter's lives, but he was also, and that's interesting too, because both he and Gerson presumably played a role in Dessa's life, right? And they're, we don't know the exact time frame of when Rudy got sick versus when Des disappeared, right? But it is interesting that there's two different sort of father figures that were in Dessa's life that are dead or dying. And because Gerson was Dessa's teacher, and the Gerson, the old man, the Darkner representing the old man is only able to appear in the dark worlds created by the night, because they have to be based on actual memories of the living person, right? Which again, it's just, if you're not a Death Knighter, then fuck off, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. No, why would any other knight candidate have fond memories of Gerson as a teacher, unless it's Azrael, in which case kill yourself.
I have been thinking about that, and I think that Gerson is actually able to be a Darkner, at the very end because of the Titan rather than because of the Dark World. But that's just a wild theory.
That's an interesting theory, but we do know that the Knight made that third sanctuary anyway, so
that's also really true. Anyway.
but like, he used, in addition to being an active role in his daughter's lives, he also used to be a very active presence in Asgore's life. And you know, we talked about this last time, that the game does kind of give you the feeling that like the Holidays and the Dreamers would have been a better fit as gay couples.
Yes.
Like, and it's although of course I think both of us are compelled by Carol and Toriel's complicated relationship. It's way more obvious between Rudy and Asgore.
Oh yeah, Rudy and Asgore have at minimum hooked up, like, for sure, unquestionably. Yeah. They are to a degree in love with each other.
Yeah, like
and
two of the two of the photos in the photo album in chapter 5 add to this. Like, in addition to all the stuff we already knew about, you know, like, your dad's a fruit, you know, we're two beasts, the flowers that Asgore gives Rudy every day, the Undertale alarm clock dialogue, he was my Rudolph, I was his Santa.
God.
You know, oh God. Like, you know, there's two new photographs that you see, and it's Des, your brother, and your dad's doing some kind of square dance. So it's like, you know, it's Des and Azrael, the couple, dancing, and also Rudy and, you know, it's Rudy and Asgore dancing together, not either of the married couples. And then also your dad and Noelle's dad winning the strength tester. You know, they're combining for that. You know, they're doing that together. Like, they're doing all the festival and fun activities together.
Yeah, they love each other, and it's also like emphasized here by fucking Flowery being an explicit an analog to Rudy by way of being your dad's best friend and your dad's roommate, and he's a yaoi twink who is definitely, he wants Asgore. He's in love with Asgore to an extent.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and he's vying for Asgore's affection explicitly in the same way that Asgore is vying for Toriel's affection, right? Like,
yes,
that's his role in the story. And it's funny. He's getting creeped on by somebody he doesn't want to get creeped on for the first time in his life, and he's like, maybe I am a bad person.
Wait, is this what I'm making people feel like?
Oh no. I wish this was Rudy instead. Yes, and it's like, yeah, it's funny, and it's like, I guess Rudy was a twink once. I guess, maybe. Well, you know, it's like Flowery's like kind of a jock. You know, he's got like the Letterman jacket kind of look. You know, he's got the, you know, he's a jock. He's the star school athlete or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. A jock can be a twink.
Yeah.
But if Rudy was a sports star, that actually makes his illness even a little bit sadder.
It does, yeah. I guess there's really no reference to that, but it just feels right to me that would have been there. You know, that you know, I don't know. They seem like they were all very popular in college. And having a lot of fun, and so that just they feel like the stereotypical, like, you know, cool kids, I guess, as it were, when they were younger, which makes the fact that they raised a bunch of lame-os really funny.
We don't know that we don't know that Des was a lame-o.
That's true. Des wasn't a lame-o, but also, you know, I mean, how'd that go? That's right. If you go missing, it's your fault. I'm getting fucking, my career is over after this one. I'm making fun of people who know serial child murderers and saying if you went missing as a kid, it's because your vibes were bad. Welcome to Survey Program. I'm a little loopy. It's very hot right now, and I'm sweaty. This is the sweatiest I've ever been while recording, I think.
Yeah, I'm not at my best either. I haven't exercised in a week and a half, and I've already recorded a podcast today.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So Asgore's fucked up though.
Yeah, Asgore's fucked up. We covered a lot of what I wrote down here when we first talked about Asgore. But I'm fascinated by how Asgore acts so soft. He does all of these signifiers of being a very soft guy. He runs a flower shop, and back in Undertale, his big thing that we see him doing that we're not just told about is him watering the flowers. But he's also actually really brutal and scary. Like I pointed out earlier, he very quickly says that when he finds the person opening the fountains, he will parade their body around town
Yeah.
to prove that he's right.
Yeah. And I don't know, and the fact that that he's a former police officer, right? I mean, I think it's a reminder that no matter how much you couch that kind of patriarchal masculinity, in soft language or non-threatening nose nuzzling behavior, like there's still an incredible capacity for violence that's inherent in that role, right? And it just is reminding. I don't know. It's like Deltarune is a meaningfully feminist game. Like, just at a really, just like Undertale, like at a really fundamental level. Like, it is really clear that the game is making a serious critique of patriarchal roles from the very beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tied up throughout the whole thing. This criticism of heteronormativity, this criticism of masculinity, this criticism of what is expected of men and women. Yeah.
And and that constant association of freedom with being with breaking out of various binaries or expectations placed upon you, right? And that becoming even clearer as we talked about in our in our trans episode with Rouxls, that being an explicit parallel to Rouxls, and the prophesized roles imprisoning both Rouxls and Kris in their performances of gender. It's all very much in that, and it also, of course, it goes hand in glove with Asgore, Asgore's role in Undertale, right? Where he's also, I mean, he's quite soft and kind in Undertale as well. Characters like, he wouldn't hurt a fly. He's so nice. He'll he's the one who will save us all. And all the while, he's where he is because he murdered six children. And you can't spare him, right? You have to fight him.
Yeah. That he is in the. There's this whole Freudian thing with you have to defeat your dad, whatever. But he's clearly, we're clearly meant to think about this in chapter 1 with King, who does not have that soft thing going, but he is a dad who you cannot spare. And so we're already set up to think, okay, this is like Asgore. And then we get to the Flower King chapter, and everything is set up exactly like chapter 1, except there's no king, there's Asgore. And it sure feels like it is building to, you're gonna have to kick your dad's ass again.
Yeah. But then you have Des kick your dad's ass instead for you.
Yes. Which I wonder if Des had always promised to do that.
Yeah, and well, it's kind of interesting because it's like Des used to kick Chris's ass when Kris was picking on Noelle. It's kind of funny. It's a kind of funny inversion of that relationship, through the night now. And that analog as well to King in chapter 1 that we were talking about earlier, where you also, King also, you have to fight him, right? You can't spare him. He tricks you if you try to spare him. Again, the way that King mirrors Asgore, again, just feels to me like another one of the growing pile of arguments that have been going on since very early on, since basically chapter 2, that I'm now wholly convinced of, that Kris created the chapter 1 fountain, the Card Kingdom fountain.
Yeah.
Aesthetics, enemies, motifs are shared between the 3 fountains that Kris made, chapter 1, chapter 3, and chapter 5, under this this framework. And again, if we're assuming that the bosses and the shadow, that the sort of things that these characters represent to people come from the shadows of the mind and the intent of the creator, King just makes much more sense as a problematic father figure to Kris than to December, right?
Yes. Unless the knight is a third person, which they're not, but it makes more sense for Kris to have created the first chapter fountain, because King is Asgore. King is a representation of Asgore, and that has been confirmed from these two different angles.
Yeah.
The Undertale angle and the chapter 5 angle.
Yeah. And so, I just think basically I feel like this gets to a lot of like, some people were disappointed in chapter 5 because there weren't any like brand new earth-shattering like revelations about the capital L lore. But what I do feel like is it provided a lot stronger scaffolding to a lot of what we understood about the characters in this story and the mechanics of this story, and like what the various things we're seeing, like what do the Dark Worlds actually mean metaphorically? What do they represent metaphorically? And like what are the relationships between these characters? It felt like a really essential like reinforcement chapter in the broader structure of things. Like now we know the stakes, right? Chapter 4 was about us knowing the stakes. It's the like end of Act 2 like peak, and now chapter 5 is a chance for us to, knowing the stakes, like reset and understand like what are the relationships, what are the sides, and what has actually happened here in the past.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of information. I disagree that we didn't get any lore information. Even beyond that, like we found out that there are things that are neither darkners nor lightners, living beings that take on new consciousness in the dark. There's so much lore here. There is so much explication of what dark worlds are, what dark worlds can do, and yeah, like the echoes of chapter 1 tell us so much.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think that about Chapter 5, but that was one of the most common lines of critique that I heard about Chapter 5. And one of the most important things that we did learn about Chapter 5, that we sort of, that also mirrors what, because in Undertale, so many people wanted to fuck Asgore. So many people wanted to fuck Asgore. And that's happening again. It is happening again in Deltarune.
Everyone wants to fuck Kris's dad. Like, we've got Maddie, which I realized was telegraphed in chapter 2.
Yeah.
She says, "Can you tell your dad hi for me?" Wait, no, he doesn't know. And Alphys wants to fuck Kris's dad. Flowery wants to fuck Kris's dad. The Floridans want to fuck Kris's dad.
Yep.
And not to chomp Valerie and your flavor. Is this connected to everyone thinking Kris is good at flirting?
The Chrysler, Kris inherited the Asgore Riz gene, apparently.
Kris gene.
The Chrysler. Well, now you can go to the Deltarune text dump and type Chrysler, and it shows up. Thanks, Sans.
Oh my god, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, if it isn't Kris and the Chryslers, sup?
I love this goddamn stupid game.
I do too. But yeah, no, yeah, it's like, despite, and I think that's also sort of a commentary that it's like, no matter how shitty you make a guy in a story, people are gonna wanna fuck him.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about
people are gonna want to do yaois to him.
we got double yaois with Asgore.
It's true. Yeah, we got many yaoi options. And it's I definitely think that I have long thought coming in that Asgore Rudy is the game's premier yaoi. It's much better than Spam Tenna.
Absolutely.
It's the thinking person's yaoi for this game.
The champagne of yaoi.
The champagne of yaoi. That's right. Yeah. And yeah, that's I think that's I feel like that sort of covers everything that we did. But we my main thoughts.
Yeah, I think we covered most of the dad stuff.
Yeah, this topic definitely spoke to me because Asgore is not an, let's say Asgore is not an unfamiliar type of figure in my own life. I'll say, as I like to flirt with oversharing my personal life on this podcast.
So do I, as listeners of the Halloween Hack will know.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, you know, that's just I appreciate what this game has to say about the horrors of the heteronormative nuclear family, and like I do think that it's one of the most interesting things that the game is putting down, that, you know, despite the fantasy and the escapism of the setting, it's still grounded in this very real, you know, in the very real stagnation of hometown.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, I think that's, you got anything you want to plug?
Yes. You should listen to both of my other podcasts. We've got Swords Against Cerebus, which is hosted on Grupa Shrike. It's entering its second season this coming Friday. It's about famous bad indie comic Cerebus. Or my other non-Grupa Shrike podcast, We Have to Talk About Dash Rendar, which is about the Star Wars Legends continuity.
And you can find both of those. You can find links to both. You can find Swords Against Cerebus. All the episodes are on GrupaShrike.net, but on the front page of GrupaShrike.net, you can also find a link to We Have to Talk About Dash Rendar, at least until we get a fourth show. And also, you were on, back in April, you were on an episode of Green Room, our bonus podcast, where we went and reread Questionable Content, a webcomic that we've both been reading since the 2000s. Talked about how it actually holds up pretty well, and, you know, was a surprisingly fun and interesting reread and something fun to follow as we go on. And we talk quite a bit about other weird webcomics we were reading in the 2000s, but not that one.
Yeah, that was a really good conversation too, I think.
Yeah. And so
I'm proud of that one.
Yeah, if you have $5, you can give it to me. and Sophia gets nothing from that. Sorry, Sophia. You are getting free. It's covering the hosting costs of this show. Yeah. Of this show.
I'm in it for the love of the game.
And Swords Against Cerebus. Look, just a little peek behind the curtain. You know, I'm breaking even, sort of ish, on this project. Maybe not even, but it's a lot of fun to do, so it's worth it. But I appreciate the support for people who do. I wish, you know, I did my last podcast, I was able to give people some money for coming on the show, and that was pretty fun. We're not there yet. Maybe one day people will. Maybe one day we'll be. I was also doing a bonus episode like every other week for that one, and I was doing a lot of podcasting back then.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our episode. I'm sure I'll see you back again, Sophia. This was your third appearance on the main show. This was your fourth overall point in the challenge coin standings between Server Program and Green Room.
I'll get there someday.
All right. See you in the outro, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
That's the game. All right, well, I basically covered everything in the intro. Oh, I do want to say, Ezra did get his cat yurt. I was still there on the sidewalk the next day after recording this episode, so I've got a picture of Ezra in his yurt in the link in the description. All right, see everybody next week. We'll be turning back the clock for a Chapter 2 replay.
Shrike Amalgamated General Productions GmbH